I just want to say we love Keon Jackson Malone.
Amen.
This is Tamika Vukovic, Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice. And we have with us, go ahead.
Brian Sanders, lead organizer for Wisconsin Voices. Good morning, Milwaukee.
And Latoya, what's your last name this today?
Brown.
Latoya Brown, Wisconsin Voices, Director of Organizing and Partnership.
She changed it every time.
Latoya Vashinsky.
She won't get that government name.
Uh-huh.
Well, we are thankful. This is Super Tuesday, but we have an election April 2nd.
4 weeks from today.
And early voting starts the 19th. All the polling places will be open. We'll be putting it on our website, wisconsinvoices.org, and doing the flyers, making sure everybody knows what's on the ballot. And on Friday, we're going to be talking about the referendum questions that are on as well, to make sure that people know and get informed on what their choices are. But today, can we get a little drum roll or something? Hey, we have a special guest. Actually, he's not special in this sense because he is a candidate for the city of Milwaukee mayoral race, and we want to make everybody feel like they are equal here, even though he is the incumbent. We have Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
Chevy.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. First of all, let me apologize. I know that we had this scheduled before, but my schedule did not allow me to be here previously. So apologize about that. And happy to be back.
But I think it was you had to handle some city business. So.
Well, you will even still.
It was city business, so we don't mind that you handling the busy of the people. So and you called right back and said, I'll schedule it over again. So very courteous of you, and thank you for our consideration coming to be a voice.
Yes.
Wisconsin Voices, be a voice.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask you the question. Even though you've been doing the job, I ask every candidate the question: what is the job of a mayor?
Job of the mayor, so I was just at a school. I go to a lot of schools in this job, and I think that's really important for me to do because kids in Milwaukee, they get to see the reflection of me, in a way that they, for the entire history of the city before my election, with the exception of the short time that Marvin Pratt was in this office, could not see the reflection in the mayor. And so I was just at a school earlier, and I was describing some of my responsibilities as mayor. And one of the chief responsibilities is crafting a city budget to make sure that the services that people need across Milwaukee are met. And as I mentioned in the State of the City address, just yesterday, we've had challenges literally for the past number of decades with securing the city's financial future. We were able to move forward, take a big step that way. Doesn't mean we're flush with cash. Doesn't mean that everything is perfect, but we're in a stronger position than we were now. So it's my responsibility as mayor to work to make sure that things like that are correct. Working to make sure that I'm a promoter for the city, working to make sure that we draw family supporting jobs in the city, working to make sure that we're driving down instances of crime and increasing public safety in the city, working to make sure that, again, the services that people need, expect, and quite frankly deserve in Milwaukee are met. That's my job.
So in our Civics 101 class that we provide, one of the things that I always tell them, it's three branches of government, and the city has the three branches as well. Mm-hmm. They have an executive, a legislator, and a judicial, and they are the executive branch of the city. So it's you've been doing this for 2 years now, or is it?
Well, when you count the acting mayor,
yeah,
portion,
acting mayor, that's 3 years.
So that goes back to December of 2021. So just a little over 2 years.
Are you enjoying it?
I do enjoy it. It is. I've described this as, certainly the most difficult thing that I've ever done in my life. But it's a difficult, challenging, complex, but very rewarding opportunity. It really, really is, and I feel blessed to have the opportunity to serve as the city's mayor.
We're going to take some calls, 414-444-5250. But kind of we got a couple things. We want to get to know you as a person a little bit more. And then also like, what are some of the goals that you want to achieve? And people, a lot of times when you come into these things and people run for office, that's why I always ask the first question is, what is the job?
Mhm.
And you wouldn't believe how many people, and I don't tell people how to answer, but they don't know what the job is. They come up with what they think the job is, but I always tell people, especially when I ran campaigns, go look at the statute, see exactly what the job is, because you are a policymaker. You are making the budget, and the common council has to approve it, but you're just giving them the budget. It's not up to you. They have to approve it. So some of this is you, but some of it is the common council too. And there's no power that is absolute. And that is what people have to also understand, that your job will not you can't just go and do things. You also have to get the approval of the council, which is why you have to pay attention to the council as well as voters, because those are the people that are going to be working directly to help him guide. So I mean, that's kind of how I really want to make sure that people, it's not about, you have to know what the job is and then how it all works together. So, you're not blamed for stuff that is not under your control, but also taking responsibility for stuff that is under your control. So, but let's talk about the Cavalier, the man. I know you're a family man.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get into,
Yes.
yeah, because everybody wants to know politics, but
Uh-huh.
let's get into Cavalier.
Sure.
And with the quotes of Chevy. And we don't care. I mean, we're on live, so you can.
I
they
saw
can
the
see
cameras
you,
out
too.
there. I saw.
Which side is your good side? So you can go like
I
this.
should turn to this side.
Okay. Talk about you and what motivates you. What makes you tick?
Yeah, sure. So I am a family man. That was one of the questions that the kids asked when I was up at the school earlier today. If I was, married, if I had a family and all that. And yes, I showed the hardware. Dominique, my wife, and I, we have been married for almost 8 years. This year in October, it'll be 8 years. Actually,
October what?
October 20th.
Oh, okay.
October 20th.
October's a good month. I'll be married 20 years on October 29th. So it's good.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. And congratulations to you.
So yes, somebody does put up with me.
Give him an award. Give him an award.
So it'll be 8 years this year, married. And actually, I hopefully she's at work, so she can't listen to this right now.
But this is on our we'll call her and make sure she knows that we have a podcast and we'll be rebroadcasting this.
So I
follow on Facebook.
So I got her a gift. I got her a gift because this month actually we celebrate our 10th year of being together.
Oh, okay.
So I got her March 14th was our first date. March 23rd. Mm-hmm. That's my twin. I was gonna get to that. That's my twin daughter's birthday too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So 8 years, almost 8 years married. 10 years together this month. We've got 3 kids. We've got a son named Oliver, who is 13 years old, and twin daughters who are 5, named Madison and Bella. So we got a pretty rambunctious house, and they keep us busy, each and every single day. But I love my family, love my wife, love my kids. I mean, they have helped me in more ways than that I can count. Each of them is a blessing in my life. They all are complete separate individuals, and like even the twins, like they have their own unique, distinct, personalities. Son Oliver plays the drums. He is self-taught. And Dominique, since I've known her, has been involved in exercise. So she works at the Y and teaches a number of classes there. I actually just joined her for a class, which I hadn't done in a while, but a couple of weeks ago I joined her for one of her exercise classes. So that was pretty fun. But me personally, I grew up here in Milwaukee. Of course, I think people are aware of that. I went to Milwaukee Public Schools from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. I went to 6 different elementary schools. We had a lot of challenges growing up, so we moved around a lot. I had the opportunity when I was going from 8th grade into high school to get involved with a YMCA program called Sponsor a Scholar. And that program had two major goals for kids who were involved. One was to get young people off to college, right? That was the main purpose of the program, and pair them with, caring adult mentors. The other was to get young people involved in service and giving back. And I just, for whatever reason, fell in love with the community service aspect, helping seniors to rake leaves and shovel snow here in Milwaukee, doing the workforce development sort of stuff, helping kids get their first summer job. I just continued to do service, for years, afterward. So my first spring break when I went to UW-Madison was not to a beach in Florida. Instead, it was to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina to help folks who, lost everything there, especially down in the Ninth Ward, places like that. I went to New York City for a summer to work for the YMCA there. Had the opportunity to go to Chile and South America to help, rebuild a school, refurbish a school for some impoverished students and communities there. Went over to London to work with some at-risk young people in that community as well. And then came back here to Milwaukee to continue to serve, and had the opportunity to run for office. And, eventually that led here to being mayor.
Wow, that was a so you have deep roots in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I think I served with you on the League of Municipality board
Yes.
for a little bit
Yes.
until he got too big and he had to step into the mayor role, and he couldn't stay hang out with the little people. But again, callers 414-444-5250 if you would like to ask a question of the mayor. What is you have a lot of things that you have to work on, but what is your number one priority? What is the one thing that if you could really make a difference on, what would you do? And then how are you trying to do it? Because everybody has these things where they want to do it, but do you even do you have a little bit of a plan? I guess that's one thing that people would want to know as well.
Sure. The thing that I spend, a lot of my time on is public safety and increasing safety in Milwaukee. And that's not just, homicides and, non-fatal shootings and like. I also categorize reckless driving in that category as well. That's just egregious stuff. I've described it as sort of a scourge on the city. Now, some of that is within my purview, within the city's purview, within the local government's purview. Even it's not just the city, county, with the prosecutors and the courts, as well. But some of that is not, right? And I talked about this in the State of the City speech just yesterday. That far too often we get people in this community who shouldn't have their hands on guns in the first place. Sometimes it's a felon who gets their hands on a gun who shouldn't have their hands on a gun. Sometimes it's a youth, it's a teenager who gets their hands on guns and they're looking to settle a dispute. Sometimes, like we saw just a couple of weeks ago, it's a kid who gets their hands on a parent's gun and then either hurts somebody or sometimes unfortunately kills themselves. So public safety is certainly one area in which I seek to have, and my administration seeks to have a tremendous impact. And I think with some of the partnerships, and I've talked a lot about partnerships since I've been in this job, but because of our partnerships with police, and not just police, because police cannot do this alone. Like they absolutely cannot. I think all of us realize that. But with police and nonprofit organizations and our Office of Community Wellness and Safety, the list goes on and on. Even the public with our Crime Stoppers and all that, we've seen some success in driving crime down in Milwaukee. First year was about 15%. This last year was 9% on top of that. So we're doing, I think, a decent job in heading in the right direction there. But some of that other stuff in terms of the access to guns, because we don't control that, and Tamika, this, we don't control it at the local level, right? That's a state level and federal level responsibility. And so I consistently am calling on, members of Congress, members of the legislature to do their job, to do their due diligence, to make sure that people who shouldn't have their hands on guns don't. Because when they get that access, then they use those guns to hurt people in our neighborhoods.
So back last year, Wisconsin Voices did a week-long Take Back MKE program. We had a sponsor that we did initiatives to make our city safer. We started out with giving gun locks, and we do still have some gun locks at our office. If you need it, you can call Wisconsin Voices, or an email with to info@wisconsinvoices.org. But and we have some gun safes as well. But we did a whole week starting. We partnered with the city of Glendale, the sheriff's department, and Crime Stoppers, and we had a week of different events. We had a press conference, and then we gave 1,000 gun locks to the fire department.
Mhm.
We also had a CCW class. People who want to be responsible gun owners, we want to give them that opportunity to do that and know how to use it, what the rules are. So you have that as well. We also had a whole day of mental health where we had different programs that we did, and we work with different West Care and Mira, and different organizations that were trying to treat and help the trauma that's going on when it comes to gun safety. We also did a lock-in with the kids. We had 100 kids, and we had a lock-in. They came in at 8, and I can't believe they were still up kicking it at 6 o'clock in the morning. But those are the things we're doing, and we're trying to do that at least once or twice a year, and put these yard signs back out, because this is about taking back Milwaukee, taking back our community. So I do feel you on that, in the sense of, we are trying, as smaller organizations, we have about 60 partners, and we have done a lot of work to try to help you with this.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that we're really trying to do. We are going to take a small break, come back with the mayor for a little bit. If anyone has any questions, 414-444-5250. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Wisconsin Voices 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
You are now listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio.
Welcome back to Be a Voice, Wisconsin Voices. Be a Voice. Brian, you look like you itching to ask a question.
Man, you know,
Itching
I,
for a scratch.
I remember seeing Mayor Cavalier Johnson, when he was getting started, and when I was, opened the door one day. This guy comes in. I think he had one person with him, and he was going for alderman. And it's nice to see this growth. So one, I just want to congratulate you. And just a couple questions, maybe one. How with the experience of you traveling and being able to do the services you had, and I'm interested to hear what borough you were in New York, but outside of that, going to Chile and having those experiences, what type of motivation did that help you bring back to Milwaukee? Being able to leave, because you see a lot of people leave, and a lot of people doing great things in Milwaukee come back here and they get that opportunity to go to Atlanta and go to wherever to get that growth. But what did that help you with, and how were you able to contribute that to Milwaukee?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to answer the first question about which borough, I mean, my job with, I was doing an internship with the YMCA when I was there. I stayed in Manhattan, but I had the opportunity to go to all 5 boroughs.
Nice.
And go there alone. Like it was just kind of me as sort of like a lone ranger out there. But I had the chance to visit, every single one from the Bronx down to Staten Island, of course, Brooklyn and Queens, and staying in Manhattan too. So that was just a really awesome experience. And then with Chile and London and, traveling across the United States, doing stuff in New Orleans, all that. What it taught me is that people are people. People are people. I mean, you see that even here, right? When, we watch, some news stories and, sometimes there's a concentration of, things that happen, unfortunate instances that happen in the city of Milwaukee, right? And you don't see that same, or at least the same volume of those same sort of activities that are happening in surrounding communities or suburban communities or far-flung communities. But the fact of the matter is that things happen there too. And the reason that things happen there too is because people are people. It doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter where you are. And look, I've been in some really diverse, very populated places like New York and Santiago, Chile, and London and Paris, and all this stuff. And I can tell you, that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you have a strong foundation for people, then you can make sure that they're set out to achieve greatly, right? If they have stability in their lives, it doesn't matter who they are, what they look like, where they live, in an urban setting, rural setting, ex-urban setting. People are people, and they will excel if you give them that sort of opportunity.
Yeah. There is one of the things our partners, because this is also about our partners and what they need, because a lot of our partners are 501c3s that are in the city. One of the challenges that they have asked is, what about development outside of downtown? Talking about, the Garden Homes, the Metcalf Park, not Sherman Park. I'm talking about the other areas, because there are other areas besides downtown Sherman Park. What about their corridor over here, Garden Homes, Franklin Park? What about those other areas that could get developed? Even Northridge. I mean, I know you have a plan for Northridge, but how do the neighbors tell you what they want to see in their areas? Because nobody's really asking them what they want in their area, and they're just kind of pushing it, and that's what we're getting from our partners. I guess you could address that a little bit on how do you see it that it's a trickle down effect? If Milwaukee downtown is thriving, it'll trickle down, or do you have a plan for other places in Milwaukee?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And this is what folks I think should understand here, is that a strong downtown is good for the entire city, right? Downtown accounts for 3% of the total land mass of the city, but contributes over 20%, over 22% at this point, I think, of the total tax base for the city. So if we're talking about making sure that there are library services on the north side of the city, a strong downtown helps to fund that. If you're talking about making sure that there's fire service on the south side of the city, a strong downtown helps to fund that. So there is a reason why, I mean, not just in Milwaukee, but in other places, other cities, a strong and vibrant downtown is very important. But to the question of development in the neighborhoods, that's also very important. It should not just simply be downtown centric, because if downtown is helping to contribute tax dollars elsewhere, well, helping to make sure that these other neighborhoods, the aldermanic districts, if we're calling them that, are self-sufficient, that creates a stronger and better city too. And so when I look, around what's going on right now. We're starting to see some development that's not just purely downtown. Certainly, there are like these big projects that are happening downtown, whether it's the Baird Center or Couture or, other things that are happening down there. But just a week or two ago, I mean, I went to Harambe to break ground on an affordable housing development that's happening there. Of course, down in Bronzeville, the Bronzeville Center of the Arts is going to come out of the ground pretty soon. There's another connected part of that development west on North Avenue that's happening too. Thrive on King is coming along as well. The MLK Library, which is a city investment that's actually adding housing, those things are coming out of the ground. In Walker's Point, things continue to happen. Well, before I was mayor, I mean, I thought, and I continue to believe as well, that both Mitchell Street on the south side and Villard Avenue have the potential. I think they have the bones. They have the potential to be what I've called sort of like Brady Street, but Brady Street North, Brady Street South. I think they have the potential to do that. And for me, when I became mayor, one of the things that we can do to help foster business growth, to help foster strong commercial corridors, is by making those sort of investments and partnering with other levels of government to draw in funding to do that. And so I jumped at the opportunity to get some federal funding pulled down, and we worked with Senator Tammy Baldwin. In order to do this, we won a $14 million federal grant to be able to reimagine Villard Avenue. Again, because I believe it could be Brady Street North, because I believe that. And so we're working to make that sort of investment. The same thing, down the line is going to happen on Sherman Boulevard. And there are so many examples of this across the city where we're making those concentrated investments. And then another thing that I've been pushing, and I talked about this, yesterday in the State of the City address, is my desire to grow Milwaukee. Because with that growth comes more development, and especially outside of downtown and in the neighborhoods. We haven't really touched our zoning codes in Milwaukee, not in a significant way, since John Norquist was mayor. Now, we keep mayors for, Keon, this, we keep mayors for a long time, and you've interviewed a lot of, or been in the room with, many of them have been interviewed here.
Doing a prediction right there?
I'm not doing anything except stating a fact. I'm not doing anything except state a fact. But since John Norquist was mayor, so we haven't done that. So I'm saying that we should look at our zoning codes, make changes, and find ways to create more development, not just downtown, but in the neighborhoods. And we're partnering with other levels of government to do that. Of course, Milwaukee County has their bus rapid transit that's going on. East-West is already established between downtown and Wauwatosa. It's doing great. The numbers are great. A lot of opportunity on Wisconsin Avenue and in the neighborhoods, north or south of Wisconsin Avenue. They're working on the north-south BRT that connects Glendale. Right, with Franklin, going through the city of Milwaukee, and our Department of Public Works is working with them collaboratively in order to make that happen. That presents along those transit corridors major opportunities for growth and for density. And the more density, the more density that you have, it creates more dollars that can circulate locally. Folks don't have to get in their car and drive out to, I don't know if you would appreciate this, Tamika, but a suburban mall. And if people are not going to suburban malls, that means they're spending their dollars.
We like
on
y'all
their
in
street.
Suburban malls. Just let me tell you that. Don't be trying to throw a wait.
That's my thing. It's like I want those dollars to circulate on historic commercial corridors in the city of Milwaukee. Yes. That's what I want to see happen, because when that happens, that means people who live on the other side of those commercial corridors get the chance to have jobs on those commercial corridors. And the more density you have, the more people spending money. We're reducing our carbon footprint, right? That means more economic
also trying
activity.
to mess with my district,
Yes,
my district number one of Glendale. Because I got to support my people over there too.
I know you do. They'll still be a spot for Glendale.
But here's the thing. Actually, if Bayshore wouldn't be if it wasn't for the city of Milwaukee residents. Right. So I appreciate the people who come there and support the district there, because it wouldn't be at all if it wasn't for city of Milwaukee. And we have to acknowledge that. Yeah. All the suburbs have to acknowledge that the city is what helps us. It's not the people that are in Glendale that are going to it and making it thrive. They are showing up, but it's the city of Milwaukee who are supporting these places.
And can I say, I appreciate you saying that. And I just want to give a shout out as well to Mayor Dennis McBride in Wauwatosa. because sometimes you don't get that acknowledgement from suburban leaders. He constantly says that Milwaukee's success is Wauwatosa's success. If Milwaukee doesn't do well and folks are not coming out to Mayfair Mall, what is Mayfair Mall? You know,
it's not just the malls, it's the schools. Because like Glendale is a 57% kids of color school district for K4 through 8th grade. What happens to Milwaukee happens to them.
Sure,
right. When it comes to funding, when it comes to other things. So we have one caller, and we're gonna take this caller real quick. Caller, you're on. Hello.
Yes, good morning. I was calling, I was listening to your program, and was impressed about all the good happenings that are taking place in Milwaukee. My particular interest is in the street maintenance. I have been trying to follow certain streets in my neighborhood, and by the way, I lived in Milwaukee, and the streets are just so far from where they should be. I'd like to know what might be the plan for some kind of improvement there.
That's a great question. And we had talked about this a little bit yesterday, where we were talking about the streets, but also the alleyways, where it'll take 100 years for every alley in the city of Milwaukee to get repaired or fixed. And Keon was talking about in his hood, they still got the cobblestone. I know that's a budgetary issue, but how do you get around that? Because some of the guests that we've had are talking about their repairs on their cars are turning into more than what they would want to pay in taxes, because they are doing their buying new tires, doing brakes and tire rods, front end alignments, and this is turning into more than they would pay if the taxes was raised. Because what is your take on this issue, and are you asking for more funds from the state and the state government or the federal government to try to deal with some of this?
Look, I'm always open to getting more money. Seriously, like anytime we're able to draw in any more dollars. I just gave the example of Villard Avenue, which will do a complete reconstruction there and have this wonderful commercial corridor, and that's great. At the same time, too, though, like we have to recognize that it costs a lot of money to actually reconstruct a street. Now, the city, over the course of the past probably decade or so, has been embarking on a program called we call the high impact paving program, where it's not a complete reconstruction of the street. You're not digging to the foundation of the street and replacing all that. You're taking off the top layer of the street and then laying a new layer, the top like 2 or 3 inches or so.
Right.
And then in a day, we're able to turn that around and have a new, smoother surface area. We've got a lot of streets in Milwaukee, a lot of streets that need, that sort of service. So we can't do every single one, because even that, comes at a cost. So we do have a plan. We do work with our engineering section in the Department of Public Works to make sure that we're addressing streets. Some are new constructed. Some are get this other treatment with high impact paving. But this is a thing that I've noticed when I was alderman and even here as mayor, is that when people see or hit potholes too often, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but too often, the people that have engaged with me, at least, like they say that it's a problem, but then they don't call it in. You know what I mean? So like they'll hit a pothole and they'll hit it every day. And then, they'll see me and say, "Oh man, I keep hitting this pothole over here." I'm like, well, did you call it in? Did you 286 city or contact your alder person or report? No. Because sometimes they're expecting the person who came behind them to hit it, or maybe the person who hit it before they did.
It does work, because I have had to.
I know,
because I am in my aldermanic district. I am against Malele and Pratt.
Yeah.
And I have had to call Malele because her side of the alley got some potholes. I'd be like, your side of the alley need to be fixed, because mine is fine. And she'll get it out there, and it'll take a little bit of time, but she always seems to to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking your time to hit our little old Be a Voice 860 a.m. What Keon, what you looking at me for?
Oh, because I just wanted to tell Cavalier, I have an appreciation for your forward thinking in a retro way about. I'm hearing you, and you've said Villard Avenue twice, because you got a young Prince Carvey over here, who's 18 years old, who's never seen a thriving Villard Avenue. Whereas a guy like me remember Villard Festival, where there was thousands of people from 35th blocked off all the way to Hopkins, and there were businesses up and down from the bakery to the movie theater to the Marine Land to the diners, also North Avenue. Going up and down North Avenue as a child, bowling alley, Super America's, storefronts up from 27th Street all the way to Sherman. Fond du Lac Avenue. So I just really appreciate a plan for and hope to see soon that plan. I've noticed in the last 8 years, Bronzeville, King Drive, that has been a beautiful redevelopment. So I can appreciate that, hearing that from you, and hope to see it in action.
Well, Mayor, thank you for showing up. We are going to be inviting you to some of the things that Wisconsin Voices actually does. We have a huge cookout in July that's citywide. We feed, like 400 or 500 people, catfish, beef, chicken. We got DJs. We have a good time. It's going to be at Johnson Park this year. Its name has changed, Johnson Park. It's on Fond du Lac. What is it now?
I don't know what they changed it to.
Been a lot of changes. Johnson Park on Fond du Lac off of
bus terminal.
Yeah, by the bus terminal. It's another name now, but we just over there by that. But we have a lot of stuff that we'll invite you to, because there's a lot of great community organizations that come together, and we would love to see you out there and being part of them, because that is what our mayor needs to do. Even though I have Brian Kennedy.
You always come to Atkinson Park to do the food pantry too.
I know, yeah.
Every Wednesday.
We have the food on Wednesdays. This is a huge
every Wednesday, 12:15, 12:30, yeah.
We give how many pallets away?
It was 2,800 pounds last week.
Yeah. It's so we have a lot of stuff.
Y'all doing a lot, man.
Wisconsin
Voices down and looking for 50 more.
Definitely keep you busy.
Okay, this is Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice, 860 a.m. We will be back with another candidate.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org. Wisconsin Voices 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Please join Wisconsin Voices every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We will be focusing on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
Welcome back to Be a Voice. Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice. That was interesting. We got a good conversation with this. This is going to start. This kicks off our candidates coming in. They have been very responsive. Quite a few of them have responded. We are, getting them set up and making sure that they are getting your 15-20 minutes of fame.
Where you get loaded? This guy.
Who is this?
This guy.
What you talking about?
I'm talking about. I'm waiting.
This person that's sitting next to
This
me.
guy. Oh yeah, I love him.
What is your name, sir?
Michael Harper.
Michael Harper.
Yes.
Now what you running for?
Milwaukee County Comptroller.
Welcome, Michael Harper.
Thank
How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm very well. Thank
I'm
you.
going to ask you the question I ask everybody before we get into it. What does a comptroller do?
The comp controller. No, I'm just kidding. Because I've heard that, but the comptroller is responsible for managing the fiscal affairs of the county, and also managing the capital projects. One thing the comptroller is not responsible for is setting the budget. That's the duties of the board of supervisors and the county exec and the departments, respectively. But largely, it's a fiscal position that is making sure the books stay straight, that we continue to have resources to invest and pay our vendors for the services that they provide our constituents and taxpayers.
And how much did that pay? Not just kidding. Tell us a little about yourself.
Born and raised in Milwaukee. I've shared that before, and grew up, went to university school, and then to Miami of Ohio, and afterwards spent my early professional career in Detroit working for Oldie Discount stockbrokers on the trading desk, where I got my opportunity to pursue one of my second first loves, which is finance and working in numbers as a young professional. So,
you said you live in Milwaukee?
Yep, grew up on 39th and Flores.
And you live there now?
No.
Where you live now?
Live in Glendale.
Thank you. He trying to, give us some props. He won't act like
I see you standing on it now.
Yeah,
You standing on this Glendale.
That's Mr. Morgan right there.
Standing on that Glendale. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
hey,
you know
and you gotta raise your flag.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just messing with you. You have roots in Milwaukee, just like I do.
Yeah.
What made you want to run for this particular position? There's plenty of positions you could have ran for. What makes you most qualified for this?
Well, number one, I ran for the position to give people an option, because up until December 24th, there was only one candidate on the ballot. And after 32 years of having a single comptroller, I thought it was important to also finish the job that people like Johnny Thomas have set out to run for comptroller in the past. Jason Fields. It's an important role within government that is in the executive branch that our community needs a voice there, and a champion for the people, someone with cultural competence who understands the needs of the city of Milwaukee, but can work with the surrounding municipalities to build collaboration and partnership.
So, and let's just be clear, you're running for county comptroller.
That is correct.
There is another city comptroller on the ballot. So they do the same thing, but just city and city and county, but want to make sure people know that you are the county one.
That is correct.
County.
There is a city with two great candidates there as well. The duties are just the duties of the county versus the city, right, where the county is more responsible for transit, transportation, parks and cultural assets. The city is responsible for more of the city services. The county is more of the administrative arm of the state in terms of health and human services. So the duties and responsibilities kind of segregate around that.
I love the fact that you still always, anytime anybody understands that the county is an arm of the state, I get all excited, because they don't understand that they are really regulated by what the state does, and they're just an arm. So where have you been? I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I've been around the world, and I thank you, thank you. I think
oh,
you're supposed to cue that up. You have it, you have it.
he don't be queuing music up for us like that.
No, but my first international experience started at 13 years old playing basketball. I was able to participate on an AAU team that took me to the Netherlands, and that was like the first of many trips that I've taken. So I've been to 18 countries around the world, 25 trips outside the United States and all across America.
And you keep coming back to more.
Milwaukee's a great place on a great lake. And, as many places I've been, I still know and realize that I love my city, and I put on for my city wherever I've been and wherever I go. But I do just find myself coming back here. And as a result of that, I want us to win, and I want us to compete at a global level where we can start to achieve some of those aspirations that the mayor spoke of 1 million people in the city of Milwaukee. That means that we need to raise, our gross domestic product significantly to move from the 38th city in the United States to, in the top 20 again. So, there are a lot of things that represents.
What is the if you could fix or change one thing within your position as a comptroller, what do you see needs to be managed or fixed, or is it running smoothly now and everything's fine? You just need to make sure somebody is doing a job. What is the reason?
I think it's an opportunity. There are great people, and some of which I work with when I was a trustee for Milwaukee County's pension board, that are doing great work for the county in that office. I just think that Milwaukee and the county in particular just needs bold, ambitious goals, and the ability to have vision and reimagine, Milwaukee as this viable, vital, vibrant, vibrant, prosperous place.
So how does this position do that? I guess because what is happening, and we're finding out that people see these things on on their ballots. They don't know exactly how it affects them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're trying to get at, without us preaching to them. I mean, you doing the job. So what is the one thing that is going to be impactful to them on your job, or at least they'll go, oh, this is what he's handling.
Right. There are a few things that I think are can become tangible opportunities, but it fundamentally requires the same thing today. We have to invest. We had a conversation recently about, our investment strategies. One of the things that the comptroller does have the ability to do with the 5-year plan and the capital improvements committee is to set the investment priorities. One of which the mayor just spoke of with the North-South bus rapid transit. That's $150 million project that does impact people's lives on a daily basis. But having that improved asset is something that doesn't have an immediate effect on us, but it does have long-term benefit, not only in terms of the physical assets that we use, but the operational savings that we can create through those types of projects. The safety building being another significant project. How do we impact? We impact by ensuring that our small minority businesses are in position to do the work that they'll contract for. $500 million gets spent. If we're not prepared, we know it's coming. It's already budgeted in the budget to do the feasibility for it. So are we going to be in a position that the targeted businesses that the county can impact have a much larger and significant opportunity to benefit economically? So, these are things that as we start to talk forward and perspective about it, we can position ourselves to better take advantage of them.
Well, I just thank you for coming in and at least explaining, what a comptroller does, a comptroller. It's just one of those things that you see it on the ballot, you don't know what it does. And that's why I think people keep getting elected over and over and over again, because nobody knows what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we start letting people know what the people they do, some people might know, wait a minute, I can do that job.
You said it best, where they understand why it affects them. You said it best when you said and when you explain those duties, that explains to them how it affects them. Because being an organizer for over 15 years, I really have to tell you, people did not understand what a controller was, and I used to get so frustrated about that. Like, that's one of the most important positions in our
It's about our money, our audits,
right?
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Harper,
Yes,
I
yes.
thank you for and I thank you for coming and at least explaining to us
Yes.
what it is. Yes,
Where
Keith.
can people find more information about you?
I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
He's so smart.
Yes, friends of Michael S. Harper.com, M Harper for MKE on Instagram. But you're gonna see me in these streets because I'm gonna keep campaigning until we run through that tape on April 2nd and get out the early vote March 19th through March 30th. It's imperative because no matter what I say, if you don't vote, it don't matter. So I mean, let's get out and do what we need to do, and I'm gonna continue to work hard for you people.
He ain't lying, 'cause I
Get
stay
your
in these
email.
streets. I see
Get
it
your
at the-
email address again so people can.
Friends of Michael S. Harper. Friends of Michael S. Harper.com.
All right, we'll be back with Sean Wilson.
Sean Wilson.
Oh.
Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars: protecting democracy, teaching advocacy, building community.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Catch Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio, every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. as we focus on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
We had to get the mic up because somebody was about to get cussed out up in here off the mic, you know. And it wasn't Keon, and it wasn't Brian, and it wasn't Latoya. Welcome, Sean Wilson. Sean Wilson. He is. Tell him who you with, Dream Corps. Tell him who you with.
Hey, who I'm with? I'm with Sean Wilson. I'm with my people right now. I'm with Wisconsin Voices. To have a conversation about, you know, some of the things that we're going to be discussing in Wisconsin State Capitol this Thursday.
We are partnering with Sean and what is some of the other organizations that are doing the Day of Empathy?
It's a lot of well, I'll introduce myself.
Yeah, you got to get close. This ain't no laid back.
It's been a while. It's been a while. When you know, I see my brother Keon, so I'm comfortable, and so
ain't no comfort here.
No. So anyway, my name is Sean Wilson. I'm the senior director of organizing and partnerships for Dream.org. We're a national nonprofit that does a lot of work in criminal justice reform, climate justice. And this Thursday, we'll be in Wisconsin State Capitol for our annual Day of Empathy, which is similar to what we're doing in probably about 16, 17 states throughout the country, where we gather individuals who have been system impacted at the state capitol to have conversations with their elected officials about how to move the state forward on these issues. And we have the honor and the privilege to partner with organizations such as Wisconsin Voices, Milwaukee Turners, the Community, Expo, Wisdom, you know, the usual suspects.
And all those are partners of Wisconsin Voices.
Absolutely. In order for us to be effective, we got to have partners. It has to be a collective, you know, if we're planning to be effective, in my opinion.
So tell us a little bit about, we only got a few minutes, but can you tell us a little bit about the Day of Empathy?
So as I mentioned, this is something that we do every year throughout the country, where our intention is to get system impacted individuals and communities, as well as just general allies proximate to legislators who have the power and the authority to change policy and legislation that has been on the books for years, that's causing the most harm to Black and brown communities. And so every year we not only bring individuals to the legislature to have these conversations, to inform them of what is happening and how these things impact their community, but we're also advocating for the passage of certain pieces of legislation that's going to be concrete and move the state forward on whatever the issue is that's being presented. This Thursday, we're going to be talking about transforming supervision. As you all know, here in Wisconsin, we probably have one of the worst supervision systems in the country. We have about 60,000 people on probation and parole here in the state of Wisconsin just a few years ago. And I think we're continuing to send individuals back to prison for violation of technical rule violations. I remember when I was with the ACLU, we shared a story of how somebody was sent back to prison for moving from apartment A to apartment B without telling their supervisor, and that landed them back in prison. So we already know that in Wisconsin, supervision is a critical injustice. And not only is it a critical injustice, but it's also of utmost importance that the citizens of Wisconsin come out and have these conversations with their elected officials so that we can get something concrete that's going to address this issue that's costing taxpayers thousands of dollars. So I'm hopeful for, what we're going to be able to do in coalition and partnership with you all.
I just hate that this was we're going to have you back, because there's so much more in-depth work that you have done between re-entry. You do some environmental work. I mean, the Dream Corps does a lot more than just thing, and we really want to get you so we know exactly what you're doing. We're gonna have to invite you back, because but he be slipping in and out of town because he's so needed across the country. So we gonna beg him to
you don't know,
please bless us with their presence.
Give me a date and I'm gonna make it happen. One thing you want to always keep in mind when it comes to Sean Wilson, I'm always concerned about what's happening to my people here in Milwaukee. This is one of the states that has caused the most harm to myself, my family, and my communities by removing me for 17 years. So as a result of that, within those confines, I've developed and devised a plan to come home and challenge this system and partner with any and everybody that understands what is needed to bring about a change within this system.
Powerful.
Amen.
Thank you. We are out of time. It's 12 o'clock. This is Wisconsin Voices. Be a Voice. See you on Friday.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show. Reverend Al Sharpton.
It's Tuesday, March 5th, Women's History Month. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton.